grateful for, and we kind of thank God for the healing of Andy Young. We've got to thank God for the healing of Andrea Burks. We got to thank God for Mary Hayes, who was a big advocate for Andy Young all these months that he's been getting better. And it's so good to see him, and he sounds great. And you're going to be seeing him probably tomorrow, most of you. And so when we start out and we start thanking God, we have to first appreciate the fact that we live in America, we have Primerica, and there's no limits on us. No one's sitting there telling us what we can do or can't do. And so many of us have to realize how fortunate we are. See, our company is a company of destiny. It was supposed to happen. Every time they tried to put us out of business, something happened to put us back into business. And you don't understand the war that we had to go through, the fight that we had to have in order to just exist. You know, I've had the privilege of interviewing Art Williams many, many times for the various stuff I've written. And every time I talk to him, it's like I'm talking to, he's telling me for the first time his story. And he was saying the very last time I talked to him, he said, Bill, I'll never forget when I found out his father died, his mother had 2 children. It was a homemaker. His father worked in a pickle factory, believe it or not, in Cairo, Georgia. And he dropped dead of a heart attack at age 46. And all they had was a $10,000 whole life insurance policy on him. And Art, of course, realized that this is just the way it is. His mother had to go stacking grocery shelves at night with 2 younger boys. Art was already married and gone. And it never entered Art's mind that there might have been something better for his father to have. And then he went to a family reunion with Ted Harrison, who was eventually became my accountant. And Ted Harrison told him, he was his cousin, Art, did you know that your father could have had $100,000 to $125,000 of life insurance for the same or less premium that he was spending for $10,000? Art said to me, Bill, I was going to be a football coach for the rest of my life. That's all I ever wanted to be. That's ever I thought about. But something snapped in me. And I couldn't believe it. Why would anybody sell a family $10,000 instead of $125,000? Why would they do that? How can they do that? How can they look at a family and think, if you die, you're only going to get 10. You could have had 125, but I make more money selling the 10 than I do 125. I don't believe any company would do that. I don't believe any agent would do that. That's not possible, can't possibly be true. So he went to the Memorial Library there in Columbus, Georgia, and he looked it up on Changing Times and the better Consumer Reports. And you know I found out? It was absolutely the truth. Then he said, for the second time, something snapped in me. And I could never forgive them for what they did to my mother and my father. Well, folks, that's happening every day in America. And then he said, I'd never go to PTA meetings. That's called Parent-Teacher Association meetings. And he never goes to them. He'd only been 2 in his life. And he decided to go to one night. Think about how fortuitous this is. And he meets a man from ITT Financial Services, and whose son didn't play football, so he didn't know the man. He didn't know his son. And the man, what do you do for a living? He says, well, I show people how to get out of whole life insurance and buy term insurance. You get 10, 15 times the coverage and put the difference in a mutual fund. How fortuitous is that? And so he said, well, because I was always looking to make extra money part-time, can I do this part-time with you? He said, we don't hire part-time people. But Art was full-time over the summer. So Art went to work for them on a part-time basis, and for 2 years he made $48,000 part-time. He said, for the third time, something snapped in me. That I did not have to live my life the way we were living it Angela school, teaching school, robbing Peter to pay Paul, like the typical Americans do, right? And so he went full-time with ITT Financial Services. Then he said, out of the blue, listen to this now, this is amazing. Out of the blue, he gets a call from a company called Waddell & Reed. Waddell & Reed, the man used to work for ITT, went to work for Waddell & Reed. He said, Art, we've heard a lot of good things about you. Why don't you come up to Kansas City, Missouri, into our company headquarters and look at our operation. Art had never been on an airplane. He goes to Kansas City, Missouri, and he says that products were better and some things they had. But listen to this now. They had another level on the computer. So now he could hire people and then get overrides. Something snapped again, and he could never go back. If you don't believe we're a company of destiny, he and about 10 other guys, Bobby Buisson was one, Rustley Crossan was one, Randall Walker was some. They're still around, folks. The originals with him. And he said, we're going to go to Waddell & Reed. They have another level on the computer. I can make you guys managers. You can start hiring people and getting overrides, because we need to build an army to go out there and tell the world how bad they're getting screwed and tattooed by the life insurance companies. 6 months later, Peggy, ITT Financial Services went under. Did you hear what I just said? None of us would be here today if Art had decided to stay at ITT. It went under. The opportunity was gone. And at Waddell & Reed, he started promoting people, and that's where I got involved. I've been with the company now 51 years this coming June. Started on a part-time basis, got recruited by Virginia Carter, just like everyone else does, right? She gave me a phone call. I said, yes, let's talk about it. And the rest is history. But the point is this. You are not here by accident. This company is not here by accident. And the reason why is because we bring value to people. We bring value to people that no one else can. And Art coined something, you got to win with your heart, not your head. And see, when in Primerica, when this business goes from here to here, you'll start seeing some changes. You'll start seeing some growth. You'll start making enormous amounts of money. If it's not coming yet, you're still working from here, head knowledge. Another word for heart is love. When you got to love that another human being and their family and what's going to happen to them. Folks, if I asked you what kind of business Starbucks is in, what would you say? Oh, coffee, Nike, well, shoes, McDonald's, hamburgers, Art Williams, term insurance. That's one thing. If you want to build a big hierarchy, you got to be in the term insurance business exclusively. And eventually you'll start doing some mutual funds also. But we are in the term insurance business. We wanted to protect families. To this day now, I know Andy's, he's paid over 14,000 death claims in his hierarchy, Rob. 14,000 widows got checks that they never would have gotten. 14,000 widows took a big, deep sigh of relief because they finally got some money to replace the income of the husband that died and took the income with him. Eventually, your heart's got to be broken for the number of people out there that are not getting checks. See, the big mantra and mission in our hierarchy is we want to eliminate GoFundMes. If you want to see people who were not properly protected and have no life insurance, just pull up GoFundMe. There are 10,000 new GoFundMes a day happening in America. A day. Look into your zip code. You know what that means? My husband didn't buy any life insurance. He died, and I got to what? Like my son Patrick says, I got to electronically panhandle. That's why we exist. Another time Art Williams snapped when he saw the rule of 72. But he didn't see the rule of 72 like most people do, how your money compounds. You know what he saw? If money can compound like that, people can compound like that. He needed a vehicle to get the term insurance message out to millions upon millions upon millions of people. The concept of recruiting is not I can get a promotion, I can get the VIP table, I can move up, I got my double digits, I can get a t-shirt. That's not why you recruit. You need another soldier in the army to go out there and protect people. Your heart's got to be broken for the widows that are not getting a check tonight, sitting at their kitchen table with their children, telling their children, by the way, you're going to have to move in with our parents, you're going to have to miss your friends, and we're changing schools because we haven't even got any money, and your mom's going to have to work 2 more part-time jobs. See, something's got to snap in you. Until it snaps, nothing's going to happen. You're just the same person that walked in this room tonight. Why do we have him get bigger or go home? We need more soldiers in the Army. We need more captains in the Army, more generals in the Army called RVPs. We need more 4-star generals in the Army called SNSDs. That 1,000, know what that means? We need 1,000 generals out there who've got thousands upon thousands of soldiers telling the buy, term, and invest to rest difference, and the fact that we want to eliminate GoFundMes from the face of the earth. As long as GoFundMe exists, we're not doing our job. And people are not living life happily ever after, no matter what they show on TV after a person dies. And so Art Williams said, 2 things blew my butt out of the water: the rule of 72 and the power of the multiples. The reason Art Williams in 2011 stood up in front of 53,000 people and said, here's how we did it. 3 who get 3 who get 3. 3 recruits who get 3 recruits who get 3 recruits who get 3 recruits who get 3. He said 11 times, that's 59,000 people. Now, the average person looks at that, they stick their nose up and go, oh, what is that? Isn't that how they sell soap? Isn't that how they sell trinkets and stuff, vitamin pills? I've got relatives that do that, right? But the reality is, Art Williams saw it as his method of mass distribution of the buy, term, invest, the difference system. When you snap, finally snap and go, wow, now I know how to make a difference. See, the big question isn't, is Primerica going to exist? We are. But what if everybody in Primerica quit, your uplines, and the company no longer exists? What are you going to do? See, that everyone's, well, I'm in Primerica, but what if it didn't exist? What would you do? And everyone around you is quitting. See, that determines whether or not you have your own personal crusade. We have the company's crusade as long as it's in existence. The attitude's got to be, I don't care if they all quit. This job's got to get done. We got to go out there and provide term insurance and get bigger GoFundMes, right? We got to get rid of that stuff. They may all want to quit. I cannot quit as long as there's one widow not getting a check. And not on my watch. That's not why I exist. You can count on me, widows. And oh, by the way, if the rest of you Primerica people want to stick around, that's good. I ain't quitting. See, that means you have a personal cause, a personal crusade. Like Art Williams said, what? You got to have a dream. It's got to be a big dream, but it's got to be important to you. We're living off the Primerica dream. We're living off what Primerica wants. We're living off Primerica's crusade. But Primerica crusade doesn't hold water to yours. Unless you're waking up in the morning saying, I got to go out there and talk to somebody because there's men dying and leaving widows and orphans. I got to go talk to somebody because someone's dying with no life insurance or a skimpy little group insurance policy, or they got GoFundMe, $10,000 a day. You know why there's 10,000 a day? Because we're not doing our job. We're still playing with this thing called Primerica. We go to VIP, We go to VIP and think that's the end of the game. That's the beginning. You see, Art Williams, when it snapped, and you got to snap, you got to hear about someone dying without life insurance. And folks, let me tell you something. I'm not proud of this. About 2 years ago, every year we buy presents for these families in a community in South Dallas. And I get the names from churches, and we buy them presents, and they got smaller kids. And I would meet these folks and give them the presents and have a good day and Merry Christmas and leave. 2 or 3 Christmases ago, I went and waiting for these 2 boys to show up to get the presents. And then the one boy is there, and he was a little shy, and I said, "What's going on?" He said, "My father died." I said, "Yeah, I heard that." "Did you hear how he died?" I said, "No. We went swimming last fall, and I started having trouble in the water, and he came to rescue me, and he drowned. He drowned saving me." I didn't talk to him. I was too busy, too joyous. It's Christmas time. I got to sleep with that. I got to live with that. Then I called him up, and he needs therapy. And you try to find an Hispanic grief counselor, just give it a try. Just try to find one. They don't exist. And he's been through job after job after job because the mothers had to work 2 and 3 jobs. I've had to give them money. They had their car repossessed. All because for $1 a day that wouldn't have happened. But you see, it's so easy to stand up here and aren't we great? But then when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, are you doing it on a day-to-day basis? All of us are guilty. There's not one of you that's not guilty. There's someone going to die in your relationship file that you didn't talk to. That's going to happen. And you're going to have to live with it like I've got to live with it because you don't get to them all. And, sometimes you're in a hurry. And that life happens, right? But Art Williams didn't create Primerica to be a financial services company. He created Primerica to bring a check to a widow. And we've got to remember that we have been and always will be, and I'm proud to say this, an insurance company. We are delivering checks to widows that wouldn't have gotten a check. Folks, there are 2 things the widow says after the death of her husband. Thank God, or where were you, God? The one who gets the check is the one who says, thank you, God. The one who didn't get the check says, where were you, God? Folks, do we have any idea? The number one reason people need money and when they die is not the house and the car and not to pay the bills. It's for grief counseling at $180 an hour. Are you ready to pay for it out of your pocket? Well, see, understand that, folks. It's like Tony Alexander said, people don't get over the grief. They just get used to it. But the point is, we can aid in their getting over the grief. Folks, we had 4 years ago, one of our guys, Keenan Tennyson, wrote a life app on a Sunday. The following Friday, the father took his kids down to South Padre on spring break. One more swim in the ocean. One of the kids got in trouble. The father died trying to save him. They paid off $150,000 on a $75 check after 5 days of having the life insurance. The first thing she did was to get a grief counselor, and the first thing the grief counselor did was take those boys back to the very same place their father died to get them reacclimated so they can handle it. We're the ones that do that. Folks, I don't want one more GoFundMe to see one more GoFundMe where the widow's got her head down or her hand out. We've got a reason for being. And maybe it's not popular, and maybe people aren't out there. They say this, unless Just because you're not getting a standing ovation doesn't mean your life doesn't count. Andy Young has paid 14,000 death claims because he built a hierarchy in a team. Ultimately, the new leaders bulletin is not going to be how much money you made, how many recruits you got, but how many death claims you paid. Andy Young has paid $1.8 billion in money to widows. Now, those same people would have died, obviously, but those same people wouldn't have got $1.8 billion. They would have got maybe $200 or $300 million. Andy Young made a $1.5 billion difference in the lives of those families. How come that's not on the front page of the newspaper? How come he's not getting the Horatio Alger Award? They won't remember your name. But you got to go to bed at night thinking, I cannot wait till tomorrow morning so I can go out there and I can recruit some people and get some RVPs so we can build a team of people, an army of people, and we go out there getting 100 apps a month. That means 100 families are getting protected. Folks, we don't need proper protection. We don't need people to properly protect. Any protection is all they need. The average death claim is less than $20,000 on a family. Most people, the only insurance they have is a little bit of group insurance. 85% of all Americans, if they died tomorrow, would have just enough money to bury them. That's our crusade. If you want to build a big hierarchy, I'm telling you this, it's got to start with a crusade that you're devoted to. You must be able to stand up in front of your hierarchy, your army, your team, and say, I am devoting the rest of my life to, what is it? They got to hear that come from your mouth. Because if not, it's just kind of a business thing you're doing, right? Just kind of business. And then one day they don't want to do the business anymore. You can't quit on a crusade. You can't quit on a cause. Art Williams said what? The crusade gives you the extra ounce of courage that it takes to talk to somebody. Folks, there's something out there called the Ice Bucket Challenge. It started with a woman whose son had ALS. That's called the Lou Gehrig's disease, where your body shuts down and your muscles shut down, and you end up basically a vegetable as your muscles deteriorate. It takes anywhere between 3 to 5, 7 years to die. It's a death sentence. And they had made no movement on it. And you know what the guy said to her? If we can raise enough money, we can find a cure. You understand that? Money can find a cure if you raise enough of it. So he said, I tell you what, I don't know what else to do, but I got an idea. We're going to raise some money. The average year for ALS raising money was like $20 million. He did this ice bucket challenge. You heard about it, right? People, the silly thing of dumping ice on your head, but then when you finish it, you say, I challenge you 3 people to do the same thing and donate money. They raised $120 million in 8 months. That is the power of the multiples. Don't stick your nose at something that's been so good to so many people and paid so many death claims. Bobby Buisson has built a big hierarchy. You know he's paid 180,000 death claims in his hierarchy? That is the ultimate leader's bulletin. When you at the end of your life and they click your lights out, and they say to you, did Warren make a difference with his life? Yeah, he played football, but did he make a difference? They're going to look at one thing. Well, how many death claims was he responsible for? How much money did the widows get? See the difference there? That's why we recruit. That's why we build multiple hierarchies. That's why we get 3 who get 3 who get 3 who get 3 who get 3. That you're going to see tomorrow from Lydell, who does it brilliantly. But see, Lydell, if you started putting the crusade inside all those people, it puts glue to it and cement, then you're really onto something. When we're just recruiting to recruit and we have no substance behind it, no value that we perceive, it's going to be given. Folks, I'm sick and tired of not paying death claims. Yes, we paid $14,000 too, just like Andy has. But my concern is the hundreds of thousands we didn't pay because we didn't build a big enough hierarchy. We didn't take recruiting seriously. I didn't devote the rest of my life to bringing that kind of value to families. Maybe I was too satisfied with the money we made. Okay, we got enough now. Let's lay back a little bit. Bill, you ever get to quit primary? How can you quit on a crusade and a cause? How can you quit on something that you devoted the rest of your life to? How can you lie to people and say, I'm going to devote the rest of my life, but then no, I'm not? So understand, up here, yes, there's a lot of hype maybe, and a lot of people dancing around and people making noise and dancing, but behind that there's substance. There's checks to widows. And folks, one day, like Art said, you're not really in Primerica till you paid a death claim. Until you walked into a house and a woman with 2 small kids is sitting there trembling as she shows you the photo album of her beloved husband who's not around anymore. While the kids are sitting there looking at you. And all you can do is cry with them. All you can do is sob with them. All you can do is have your heart cut out with them. And then you show them the good news. Here's $400,000. $400,000. Get the kids help. You can get help. Go on a nice vacation. Take them to Disney World. Your life's going to come back. It breathes a sigh of relief. Every widow who gets a check takes a deep breath and lets it out and relaxes. Unless you go to a funeral home where they have a wake or they say in the South, a showing. And you got the line of people standing in front of you and a widow sitting there looking the best she could, but she's drained. She's the man that she loves is behind her, no longer in her life. All her dreams have been shattered. All the hopes when it's snuffed out. And you're standing there. And she's shaking everybody's hand. And here's your covered dish. And see those flowers? I gave you those flowers. Hope they make you feel better. Here's a sympathy card. Hope you're better. And then she sees you. And she runs up to you sobbing. Puts her hands around your neck and it melts into your arms, thanking you. You saved that family. Now you know you've got meaning in your life. Now you know you've had purpose in your life. We had a situation happen not too long ago where a man died of a heart attack. But they had trouble 6 months earlier financially. And what's the first bill he told her to stop paying? Life insurance. Not the cell phone, not the Netflix. So she stopped paying it. He dies, and the representative hears about it, and he calls her, and she's sobbing. She's not sobbing because he died. She started sobbing because she failed the family because she didn't make the payment. But he said, no, you're making a mistake. You did make the payments. You thought you quit them. You didn't. You got a $400,000 check coming. That's what we do for people. That's why we recruit. Art Williams didn't build the recruiting system, 3 who get 3, who get 3, who get 3, because it was great. He snapped when he saw that because he said, now I know how we can mass distribute term insurance to millions upon millions of people. Now I can build a hierarchy, and I can have ownership, and I can get overrides. Yes, that all comes with it. But the system was created to be so that the widows and their children can at least have some degree of dignity and respect financially and get the help they need with counselors. Folks, I'd love to be able to put all back in awesome of what we're doing. We're too casual about, we sell life insurance, and how much premium did you do last month? I did 20 by 20. What did you do? One of my favorite things to do with people when they make a life insurance sale is to call them up and say, when do you think you'll pay this death claim? Right? You guys wrote a lot of policies, right? When do you think you'll pay those death claims? Oh, down the road, right? You can't live your life that way. You got to say tomorrow. You can't wait until you say, well, I think they're going to die. I'm going to run over there and sell them some life insurance. You see, Sam Shepard told me this story. Sam's an SNSD multi-million-dollar earner. And he had a contest several years ago where he was wanting to beat his base shop. He got an idea. You got to understand, where do these ideas come from? If you're a Christian, you know where they come from. They only come from one source, God. Anything good happens, got to come from God. Anything bad happens, got to come from evil. And he had this idea to have a contest. No one's going to beat me in the base shop. And so he needed to make some sales. So he called this one woman up at church. Only reason he called her was to make a sale. He had no care about her if she were to die. She had 2 children, single mom. He sat down with her, and he sold her $200,000 of insurance to get the heck out of there, to put a mark on a board. And then 12 months later, she got killed in a car accident, and he got delivered $200,000 to her children. Not to her children, but the person that took care of them, the grandmother. Folks, do you understand what's going to happen if we don't get money in their hands? Maybe you're here for other reasons, but I'm here to sell life insurance. I'm here to protect widows. I'm here to get a check in their hands. I'm in the death claim paying business. Because I paid $14,000. I paid a death claim. I've gone into a home. I've sat with those widows. And thank God I didn't go in empty-handed with a covered dish or a sympathy card. Or if you need anything, call me, which is the most worthless thing in the world to say to somebody. I bought a check. Folks, when you bring a check, they'll never forget you. You will have immortality in their life. If you don't bring a check, one of the guys named Art Burgess was in my base shop back in the day. And he came in one day and he looked like hell. He looked like he got beaten up. I said, Art, what happened? He said, well, 2 o'clock this morning, I saw ambulances come next door. I found out later that my next door neighbor died of a heart attack at 2 o'clock. And so I went over there about 8 o'clock this morning, knocked on the door and talked to Ginny, the wife, and you know, I knew him. I said, Ginny, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do? And she said, no, you've done enough. He said, what do you mean? We've been waiting for you to talk to us about life insurance. You never did. And he died without any life insurance. You've done enough. And she slammed the door out of anger. You know, no one goes to college, high school to be in the insurance business. But thank God I am in the insurance business. Thank God we can bring value for $1 a day. $1 a day. That's all it costs. I got a goal of 1 million clients who have a $100,000 policy. That's all they got. Just 100,000. Not $250,000, not $500,000. I think every American family ought to have $100,000 of Primerica life insurance. At least we provide something to them, a starter policy. And then we got what? This distribution system. So when I recruit somebody, I'm not recruiting somebody to teach them how to sell life insurance. I'm going to get 3 recruits for them. Why? Because I need 3 more soldiers in this army. And I get those 3 people, I'm not going to help them get their license. I'm not going to show them how to get a SIE license and all. Why? I got to get them 3 people. I'm not going to get those 9 and train them how to sell and train them how to close and train them how to make a sale. That's going to come. I got to get them 3 people each because I need more people in this army. The more people we have, we don't get enough credit for recruiting all these millions of people that allowed our company to pay millions of death claims. It's the greatest. Don't you ever want to be part of something? It's like looking in the newspaper, like Dallas, Texas today. You open up any day Dallas Morning News. Every day, some 17-year-olds kill an 18-year-old. Every day. Where eventually you say, I don't want. I'm tired of this. I've got to do something about it. Every day you should be looking at GoFundMe's. You want to look at photos of people that don't have life insurance and didn't buy any when they were offered it. Pull up GoFundMe.com. Just pull it up, and you will see the faces of the tortured souls that never were even offered a term insurance policy from a Primerica representative because you didn't recruit enough people. You see, when you have a crusade and you devoted the rest of your life to it, you can't stop. Oh, we all make mistakes and we don't recruit like we should. We all do that. But don't fail to make the mistake of recruiting somebody and not giving them 3 people. That is heresy to the Art Williams system that he created. That he had to wear a bulletproof vest from the insurance because the insurance industry threatened to kill him. He had security guards when he spoke sitting on the stage with him looking out. He had to have people around his house. Why was he was threatened by the life insurance business? Because he stood for something, and it was going to build an army to bring the value to people they weren't bringing value to. We have to stand up at some point in time and say, I'm standing for something. I'm standing right in front of you. I'm standing for life insurance. I'm standing for building a 3 who get 3. I'm getting those people 3 people. And I'm getting those 3 9 people. And I'm getting those 9 27. Art Williams said it. Here's how you do it. 3 who get 3 who get 3 who get 3 who get 3. See, when you see that, something's got to snap in you. And it's not just a nice little ditty thing. You're saying, now I know how to help those 1 million people over the next 20 years get life insurance. That's why we need 3 who get 3 who get 3 who get 3. If you're just doing 3 who get 3 who get 3 to win a VIP meeting, you're gonna fade out one day. Because you cannot wake up every day just to get 3 who get 3 who get 3 and look at all my recruits. You got to have a master plan for those people. And here's why we're doing it. This is why you're joining. You're joining because 100 people in your cell phone list, none of them have any insurance at all, and we got to get them for $1 a day, $100,000 of life insurance. That's why you recruit. That's why you get 3. That's why you get the field training bonus. That's why you get them to district. You need more sergeants and lieutenants and generals in your army to accomplish that. See, again, Art Williams created this incredible system, and he bequeathed it to us. Do you understand that we are sitting in the shadow of a man that changed the world? And he taught us, and we had the privilege, Warren, you know him. You know him, Peggy. When you say the first African-American female to make $1 million a year, you got to be applauding Art Williams, too. Because he built a system for someone like Peggy to do that. And Bill Orender. and Andy Young and you. What do you need? What's missing? You don't have a crusade. You have it here, but you don't have it here. Your heart's not broken about something. Open up GoFundMe. Just open up those pages and understand those widows will never have a normal life again. They can never get a grief counselor. They can't afford it. But there's thousands and thousands and thousands on your watch that you're going to make a difference. You know, when you have a dream and it's big and it's important to you, like Art Williams said, it's not cars and clothes and homes, Olivier. It's, I'm going to make a dent in the universe of America and North America for families that never would have had it. See, I've got a goal of a 100-year plan, 100 years. And you're looking at me, Warren, saying, has Bill Orender looked at his face recently? Bill, hate to tell you this, you're not going to be around here 100 years from now. See, isn't that how we operate? The dream of life isn't to live forever, but to build and create something that does. We want you to be thinking about this thing. I'm going to have something that 100 years after I'm gone, this thing will still be operating. Art Williams has been gone 35 years this July 1st. 35 years he's been gone from the company. A couple of occasions he's took the time to talk to us. But this system has keep rolling on. We keep recruiting more people. People are making money. We got more million-dollar earners. We got more death claims being paid. We got more assets under management, right? This thing is to roll on. That's the purpose of why you're here and what you're doing. Art Williams had a dream. He had a big dream. You know what their dream was? For you to own your own company. These are not RVPs. RVPs are something that we did at Waddell and Reed. You're CEO and Chief Operating Officer of your company. When you start seeing yourself, I'm an RVP, it's what you own it. The minute you want to have ownership, get one RVP underneath you, you got ownership. And for 100 years, there's going to be an income coming to your family because nobody wants their thumb on you, right? Do you want anybody's thumb on you? Do you want anybody's thumb on your children? What are you doing to make sure that no one puts their thumb on your children? I know you're frustrated with the government like I am. They make all these decisions, and our lives are being ruined by it, but they don't care. They got their money. They're gone. I can protect my children from any of those people. I don't want anybody's thumb on me. I don't want any thumb on my children. And I don't want any thumb on my children's children. 100 years worth of family. That's when you know you're devoting the rest of your life to something. When you look at your children saying, I am building something and creating something, I'm devoting my life to something for you to inherit, for that money to be coming in to you. You know, Virginia Carter, my beloved Virginia Carter, has been gone 15 years this June 18th. And her family called up, and they get money on a monthly basis, $45,000 to $50,000 a month since she's been gone, going up about 8% per year. See, the problem we have with that, we become numb. I got it. Yeah, she's getting $45,000, $50,000 a month for the last 15 years. Yeah. You got it? Oh, I got it. You see how we don't have a crusade to build something that our family can enjoy for 100 years? The daughter said, well, Bill, how long do you think this money will last? I said, another 85 years at least. 85 more years of an income to her family. Because we're still producing RVPs. We still got 12B1s coming in. We still have IVRs coming in. We still are promoting RVPs. And James is going to promote RVPs, and our son's going to promote RVPs, and RVPs of RVPs of RVPs. Got the point? Where else can you go and have something that you create that'll last 100 years? You see, a wise person plants seeds that will grow into trees of which they'll never sit under. Why does it have to be in my lifetime? If I don't get something out of it, to hell with the rest of my family for the next 100 years. I got to get me and mine. You see how you're thinking? Do you understand we're the only company in the industry that has ownership? When you said, right, you guys said, we got ownership, right? We got ownership. And you all went, You understand what they mean? Art Williams is befuddled. When I talk to him, he's a little disappointed. In the current Primerica, they don't appreciate what they got a hold of. Art Williams went to bed 11 times knowing it was over. He had to sign a $3.5 million line of credit with PennCorp Financial that if this thing didn't work, it would have bankrupted him and taken everything he had plus some. And he did that to keep this company to survive. Do you have an association with a bank where you're going to the bank saying, I need about $10 million over the next 2 years to fund my business called Primerica, because you take it $100, we pay out $1,000. Have you done that? Have you had to do that, Rob? Do you understand? Glenn, you've got a $50 million, every one of you, $50 million line of credit with Primerica. You don't have to pay any interest on it. They never call the loan. You don't have to make minimum monthly payments. They can't sell the loan off and have the new creditors come in and say, we're calling the loan, or we're raising the interest rates, or we're stopping you. You can't get any more money. Ain't that something? $50 million. Each of you. And when you promote an RVP, guess what they get? $50 million line of credit. So when Art Williams says you got to have a dream, and it's got to be a big dream. That means you got to have a dream for your children's children, and other people's children. Now, I know people, they make money outside Primerica. They make as much money as some of us make. Yeah, but my money's better than their money. You know why? Because they may have a good year. Mine's coming in whether or not I work. Virginia Carter's money come in, she's gone. You understand what you're building here? The minute you wake up, I got to find RVPs. Because why? It's only when they're an RVP that no one's got their thumb on them, because they can what? Build RVPs. The number one reason to be an RVP is not to be one, but so you can start creating RVPs. How much of those 1,000 RVPs do you want? And how many RVPs? You want to make $1 million a year? Yeah. Start looking for people that you want to make $1 million a year with you. Most people don't think like that. I want to make $1 million a year. What the heck do I got to do? Go find 5 people you want to help make $1 million a year. You want to make $100,000 a year? Go find 5 people you want to make $100,000 a year with. You see that? When you start saying, I'm looking for people that want to make $1 million a year and I got the system to do it, what do I have to do? Help other people make $1 million. And they help other people make $1 million. When you start telling people you want them to make $1 million, at least you put the thought in their head. Now it starts growing. If you lock yourself in, I want to make $1 million, and you stop there, the fruit stops. You don't multiply that. That's why people, what do you want for a new recruit? You want them to have 3, because that's where it starts. Because that 3 will be 9, 27, 81, 243, 70. Don't you want every new recruit to have 1,000 people? Ask Andy Young. how many times he's taken a person direct 100 deep? 3 times. When was the last time you took somebody purposely 4 deep? We did this class on Tuesday, Cheryl Bartlett and Francis Averett and myself, on the multiples. And if everyone loves the multiples, understand we had to have the multiples. That's the only way we could reach the millions and millions and millions of people to get them term insurance. That we use it as a method to get to the people, not just the fact that, ain't this a fun thing to do? 2 or 3, we get 3 or 9, 27, 81. No. Why don't you want everybody to have 100 people underneath them in 6 months? What's holding you back from having an army of 100 people? They're making $2,000 to $4,000 a month in overrides. I don't get it. How in the world can you get a field training bonus and not get those 3 people you got for them the field training bonus? How can that be? You ever get anybody a field training bonus? Do you get their 3 people a field training bonus? No, I just got that one. See, you're not thinking big enough. When you have a dream, and it's got to be a big dream. But what Art Williams say? It's got to be important to you. Understand, folks, we want you to feel like we feel when we made $100,000 in one year. We want you to feel like we felt when we made $100,000 in 1 month. We want you to feel like we felt when we got promoted to RVP and the world opened up. Now I can get my RVPs. Now I can make the big money. We want you to have that feeling when you're promoted an RVP. We want you to have the same feeling we had when we delivered a death claim. We want you to have that same feeling we had when we became cash millionaires. Knowing where we started from, the bottom, we want you to have that same feeling we had when you buy your parents a house. Imagine the feeling you'd have if you bought your parents a house, or you bought your dad a car, or you opened up an orphanage. How would you feel? We want you to have those feelings. And the feelings are right here in Primerica. Thank you very much.